Welcome everybody to 1 hour of miniature goodness. Tonight I shall be doing a custom basing job for the Kraken by Reapermini. It's still in the box, we're going to take it out of the box, but tonight we're going to be working on a 12 by 12 inch base as a gaming board for this miniature, which will be an underwater adventure. Let me say hello to people in chat so far. Now also let me say lots of love to Michelle. Michelle has to go to the doctors today, so she can't join us, which is she is always going to be missed, but she cannot make the stream, so I'm just giving her lots of love so she knows we're thinking about it. Anyway, of course we got my Scorpler, Bull GM, Ty's in the house, Tal's in the house. Hello Tal. Casper Kenobi, and we got Rod, and so far Gareth, the Star Wars man. So let me give you a little 360 of the box, and then I'll show you what we're going to be up to for this hour. I mean, most of you have probably seen this miniature before, but it's a classic now, and because Bones 5 is coming, I'm getting really excited about getting my pirate ships. I've also got the glow-in-the-dark pirate ship coming. I'm going to be using that as a night light. I thought it'd be nice to get the Kraken painted up. Hi, Philippe. So let's take this out of this box and show you what it looks like. If I can find the entrance to the box, there you go. There we go. I haven't even opened it. Mint and sealed box. How exciting. How silly of me not to open it before the show. It's impossible to open. Hello Oxygen Zero. I'm just trying to open a Reapermini box, but it's attacking back. There we go. There you are. There you are. There we are. Let's take him out of here. Flick all that over there. So we've got that bit, little tentacles, back bit, and a little bit there, and there, and there. And of course, that's inside the box. Beautiful artwork, beautiful, well painted as well. Let me just tell you who the painter is, because that's very, very nice paint job. The painter is Martin Jones. And Kevin Williams is the sculptor. That's one thing I really do love about Reapermini, and that is they give complete respect to the sculptors and the artists. Now, you don't find that with all the companies. I really would love to know who painted and sculpted all the miniatures from the different companies, but Reaper is one of the only companies that really, you know, they add them to all the boxes, and it's just really nice of them to do that. Okay, so this is quite a simple little miniature. We've got all the different parts here. You just test them to fit first. A little claw at the front here. That just sticks in there. This one goes onto this bit here. This miniature is over 11 inches long, so it says on the box. And then you've got all these little bits to stick on the front of the miniature. And they go all around the miniature like so. And then, we're not going to work on that just now because I want to show you the base today. So we're going to put all these little bits over there. This goes onto a pole like so, and connects to the base. But my plan is, I want to have this as a gaming board, so I'm going to make some more parts of the ship. I'm going to add sand, I'm going to add some nice underwater, I'm going to add an anchor, and we're going to make a homemade anchor and stuff like that. And what I'll do is I'll have it standing in the middle here, just like swimming around once it's finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a start. We're going to crack on with the Kraken base. It is an epic miniature. It's absolutely gorgeous. But let's get on and see if we can make a nice base fit today for it to live around. Now, as you can, it comes with a bow of a sunken ship. So what I'm going to do is try and work out places where things can go. What I've got here today is I've got these parts here. We can reuse the parts on the boat as well, so that can go on back on there. They'll all be glued on and painted. But what we're going to do, we're going to add more walls and more parts of the boat coming along, just little parts. And I've got some little treasure chests and little bits and items we can add around for the base. Now, because this Kraken is 11 inches long, this is a 12 by 12 inch base, so even though the base looks huge, by the time this Kraken is painted and we've added all these long tentacles to the front, it will actually fill up the whole of the base, and it will look like a fantastic diorama on the shelf as well. Now, anybody that's on my Patreon, that's on the gaming board tier, you are more than welcome to have one of these gaming boards for one of your tier rewards, and I'll be quite happy to make you one of these as well as. Okay. Right, what we've got here is some little balsa wood. As you can see, it's all damaged and buckled, and this is what we want because we want it to be an underwater type of scene. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to actually use this board here, and I'm going to just move the board so we can actually do some work, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So bear with me. It may sound all confusing to begin with, but by the time I finish, you'll be like, oh, that's what he's doing. Okay, so I just want to snap these. And what we're looking for is we're trying to emulate this wood here, so we can add little chunks going around along the floor of the seabed. So what we're going to do, and we want them as rough as possible really, because it's a shipwreck, so it doesn't matter how broken up and damaged the bits of wood are. So what we're going to do is just carry on, just a few pieces. And then of course all we need to do is mark the pieces down. I'll just do one more, I think. Just cut this bit off here. You want it nice and ripped. You want it nice and ripped. Highland lass, hello. Lovely to see you. And again, we're going to be adding some wood effects. So we are copying the bow of the boat here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use our little tool here and copy the bow of the boat the way the wood is going. So it kind of matches in. So I don't know if you can see that. As you can see, I'm just doing lines and I'm making them quite heavily into the balsa wood. And once that's painted and dry brushed, it will look just like the bow on the Reaper boat. So we just go a little bit deeper with these parts. So just kind of following the parts the same as the boat. And then we want to make a grain, and the grain is just a lighter effect going along the wood. And we're making it wonky, wavy, wonky lines. And we just follow those around. And like I say, once this has been painted and dry brushed, all those lines that I'm putting into this balsa wood will all show through really well. It's a really fast and easy way to add some shipwrecked wood to the floor. So we'll do that with the same with these ones. And I'll chop a little bit more off here. And again, the first couple of lines are the deepest because we're trying to imitate the wood that's on the bow of the boat. And then of course we'll do lighter lines going down. Let me see if I can get better focus. Let's see if I can. 1 second. That's a bit better. I hope that's better for everybody. And we're just doing lighter little lines. Again, we're making them quite wavy, so it looks like actual wood. And it doesn't take long. And what happens with this is we painted and then dry brushed, and all these little lines will all show through beautifully, and it will look like wood, which is amazing. It's awesome. And you can add barnacles, and of course you've lots of green and algae going around. There we go. That's another piece done. Now let me show you my idea. The idea is these will be kind of dotted around in the sand. We've got one more to do. This little makey one here. I think we'll just again take a little bit off the side here. Hi, Renegade Shank. And again, we're just carrying on, making these little planks. And some little wavy lines for the actual bark effect. Or the lines that go through the wood effect, should I say. And you just make them a little bit more wavier to give the effect of wood. And remember, everything I do on the Twitch channel, I will show you the actual finished miniature. So you will see how these actually look once they are finished, when I upload any YouTube videos in the future, because I do like to finish what I'm doing on Twitch and then show you the actual completed miniature. So because sometimes I can leave a show and it's like, well, all he's done is put a few wavy lines on a bit of wood, but I do show what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, now we want to make these a little bit more in with the boat as well. So what we need to do is add some struts to the inside. Now what I'm going to do for the struts, I'm just going to add some thin bits of balsa wood. This is 5x5 balsa wood, and again, all we're doing, it's very, very simple. We're just going to go over the edge. So what we need to do is 1 or 2 pieces, and because it's shipwrecked, we're going to have them over the edge of the wood there. So we just cut a few to size, and we don't have to be neat and tidy with any of this because it's a shipwreck. Everything is manky, everything is broken. You want it to look as damaged as possible, so chipped wood looks great. So very simple. I'll just use a little bit of super glue. Just check this for size there, and a little bit of super glue on there. I use liquid super glue, and then you've got that one little piece like so, and it just looks like a part of the boat that's come off. Oh, it's awesome fun working with balsa wood. You know, there's so much you can do, and because it's such a soft, pliable wood, that you can do almost anything with it. It's really great for all your little modelling type things. Like I say, I'm not measuring anything. I'm just doing everything, you know, just by eye. And again, a little bit of super glue. And here. I'll just stick it down there. Another piece here. It looks like another damaged piece of wood. And having it on an angle so it kind of goes in with the boat theme. Now all these pieces will be stuck into the base in the sand, which will be air drying clay, which I'll be showing you again in a bit. So let's move down a bit closer, and we'll just put that by the boat there. So already we've got more parts of this boat that we can just add as a shipwreck. You could have a couple of pieces like so, and they could be just laying flat on the ground, and in fact that's what I'm going to do with this piece. So again, that I've just done, I'm going to snap this in half, and what we're going to do is I'm going to use these little pieces here, and they're just going to be dotted around the floor. That would make, looks like a piece of decking that maybe that's just lying around. So as you can see now, we'll have some decking just dotted around. We got some parts of the hull, and that'll just be stuck into the sand. Same on the other side, that'll be on the sand there. Now I want to make we want to make a little anchor. Now I'm going to make a homemade anchor. I've actually gone into Claire's jewelry box, a jewelry making box, and I've taken out some. She's got a little box of chains. So we're going to have some of these chains. They'll be dotted around the ocean floor. So we can have some chains dotted around as well. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to take these chains. I'm going to borrow these chains. Yes, I've actually got some as well. This is good decoration. These are the yeah, I know, borrow. Is oxygen zero. These are from the old fish tanks, you know. They're just little things, and they're perfect because you can cut off the little parts and just stick them around. So if you go to your local pet shop, you'll find they often have loads and loads of things for your aquarium, and you can buy them quite cheaply. Sometimes they're on sale, and you can buy all these little plastic leaves and things, and they are perfect for anything underwater. But I'm going to make a homemade anchor at the minute, and I'm going to use the little buds that I use to take off my ink wash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly remove the actual ends. I hope you can all see what I'm doing okay, because what we're going to do now is make a little anchor. So I'm just going to snip these bits off. Okay, so I'm snipping the little bits, you know, just pushing off the cotton and then snipping that off. So this is going to be our hook for the anchor. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this around. Just going to bend that round. So we've got a little anchor type shape. Like so. Then I'm going to take another one. And again I'm going to snip these little bits off. Snip that in half. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put an angle on the end. Quite a sharp angle. Like so. A little bit more. Because this part then will be super glued to the other part. There we are. And I'll just file this down a little bit. Give it a nice rough edge that helps the super glue bond with the other part. So again, we go back to our super glue. We'll just add a little bit of super glue to that angle we just snipped off and filed. And all I do is I stick that to the center of this part here. Come on. There you go. I'll just leave that there for a few seconds so that it dry. Natural. And of course what we're going to do then is we're going to add our little chain and other bits. The chain will just be super glued to the end of this. And we got some copper wire which I'll be showing you what to do once this is dried. Oh, the Q-tips are absolutely excellent for anything, Rod. I'm going to be showing you another little thing in a minute with the Q-tips. We can make some little railings sort of dotted around for the ship railings. So I use the Q-tips for that as well. Oh, still ain't dried properly. Just need to add a little bit more super glue. You'll have to apologise. I apologise for my slowliness. There we go. Just a little bit more super glue is needed. There we go. Just let that dry a little bit longer. While that's drying, I shall prep up the Q-tips for the next part. And also, if you want a free miniature, if you're on a tier that has a painted tier, if you're on a painted tier on my Patreon, if you want a free miniature, type in "give me a free miniature" into the chat. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a few of these little Q-tips to roughly the same size. Doesn't matter if we make a mess. I'm having fun doing this. Crafting is good fun. Oops, and that flew off and nearly poked someone's eye out. Okay, let's have a look-see. I think we just need 5. I think 5 will do it. Yeah, 5. What we just want to do, see, I'm going to make a little hand railing. That's what I'm looking for. The hand railing that goes around the boat. So I'm just going to straighten these back out. I'm just using my little clippers to make it more circle. What I'm trying to do is make as many items as possible that resembles the shipwreck. So having pieces of plank, having pieces of the side of the boat. Now I've got quite a thick piece here. I was thinking of using this as a handrail. It's just kind of sticking. Actually, a thinner piece. This piece will be perfect. Yes, this piece will be perfect. So what we'll do while that is drying over here is we'll work on this handrail. Like I say, I've got 5 pieces of the Q-tip. Now, because balsa wood is so soft, all we need to do, I'm just using the back of this file here, and I'm just going to make some indentations into the actual balsa wood using this. And we just try and make them even as possible. So I just need 5. This is just to give our little Q-tips a little bit of support. Now all we need to do is cut through the ends here, just to make it look rough and broken. And again on this side, just make it as rough as possible. Now all I need to do is stick all these pieces onto here using our super glue. Now I'm just going to make sure I've got a flat end to each one of these. And what will happen is I'll just super glue them in place there. So all we need is 5 little drops of super glue. Like so. And then we can just go along and start sticking these in to the balsa wood. And once they're dried, we can turn this upside down and we can have all sorts of, we can use it as the banister, ladders, all sorts of things. Just general shippiness. Shippiness coming out of the sand. Hello, Paul Fish. There we are. So this will go like so, and it'll be stuck into the sand. So that'll look like it could be a banister, it could be some stairs, but it for me, I wanted it to be hand railings. So we can have some nice little hand railings just kind of going around stuck into the sand, and simple as that. So there we are, that's another part of the boat done. Let's go back, see if our piece is dry. And okay, so now we need to start again with the anchor. What we're going to do is make the anchor have some nice sharp ends, so we're going inside on like a 45-degree angle and just cutting the ends off here, and the same on this side. Let's see if we can, like so. So far that's that little anchor. I mean, it doesn't look much now, but once it's all painted and it's got some rust and all sorts of weird stuff added to it, it will look fab. Now here we are, we got the copper wire. This is what I'm going to be using now for the anchor. Hopefully it's dried a little bit more now. I don't want it to fall off while I'm doing this. It might do. We'll see. So we've just got some copper wire. We'll just snip a little bit of copper wire off. And we can use this as rope because it's really cool for using as rope. Now, let's see if we can get this on without it falling away. So, going around. No, it's going to fall away. I haven't let it dry long enough. Damn. Okay, I'll have to leave that bit for now. I'll leave that bit for now. It hasn't stuck yet. Oh look, here's one I made earlier. So this one I made earlier, and this one is stuck together. So you gotta wait until the glue dries before you can carry on. Okay, so we got this on here. What my idea is, we wrap this around just to make it look more authentic. This will probably break now that I've said that. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Now by adding copper wire, it actually gives a really nice effect to anything you make. Need my little pokey tool. Now I'm just wrapping the wire around and then pushing it down onto the parts of this stick here. Don't know if you can see okay. I'm sorry, I'm all thumbs and fingers here today. So we just keep wrapping the copper wire around the anchor, and then we just push the copper wire down. And it goes around. It just looks really nice once you've painted it up and given it like an iron look. It really just adds a really nice effect to the anchor and makes it look more real. The next part, of course, we'll be adding the chain. I say this didn't dry in time, so I apologize about that. So we've moved on to this piece now. Yes, well, the Bulgiem, on certain things, you have to try and make things beforehand. You can't often. I mean, that's the only thing I've made beforehand. Everything else is just been made on stream. But before the show, I was thinking, how am I going to make an anchor for this? And I was playing around with the Q-tips, and I thought, oh, that'll work. So yeah, it's quite important to have backup, and this is my backup. So thankfully I had a backup. Anyway, so what we're doing now is we can add this chain. We can glue this chain to our anchor. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slot it through. I'm going to slot it through. You'll see what the chains are like. And I've got all sorts of different sizes and chains. Now, if you're looking for chains, I mean, for all your miniatures, doesn't matter what miniatures you're doing. If you go to the old second-hand shops and stuff, you'll often find they're selling old chains for a couple of pounds, and you can get some old granny necklaces and stuff like that. Or, like me, you can just go in and nick Claire's jewellery box. But that is a good way of getting nice chains. I mean, you can use these for sci-fi things, you can use them for your dungeons, all sorts of things. But for today we can just add this to our little thing here. So I'm hoping I can just hook this over. I might need to open it up a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll go on here and I'll push it down on my angle here, and I'll open up the link. So we're going to open up that link a little bit more. And so if we can slide that over. Just cut a little bit off here. Yeah, perfect. Okie dokie. Now that should go over the end there. Good. Now I'll just add a little bit of super glue to the end just to make it stick. And we'll leave that and leave that over here. Let that stick a little bit longer. It'll probably stick to my table now. There we are. So there's our little anchor, look. So we got the anchor, and we've made a little chain off the anchor, and we can have that going around in the sand, and that'll just be a little added extra. I'm going to just cut this chain link, and I'll have some extra chain, and this will just be dotted around. Oops, this will be just dotted around the base of the boat. Okay, so I think we've got enough to be moving on with now, so we can actually start adding this to all the base now, and so we can make ourselves a cool little underwater diorama. I'll move all these little bits. I'll just take the bits that I want. I'll just have a drink of my little juicy woosy. Okay. Right. So now we get to the fun part. And the fun part is designing the base and making everything look really cool. So, we want lots of bits of wood. We want a sand effect. We want our little... This. Move you to there. Another chain. And the main part there. Okay. Now, let's get our base back. Now I'm going to be getting my fingers dirty now because I'm going to start adding some air drying clay to the base, because the air drying clay is what I'll use as the main part of the layering of the base. So what we do, I just get my little hand down here. Got the old Fimo air drying clay. There we are. And what we can do is just take out a few chunks. We don't need a lot really. We just want to build up certain areas with the clay. So what I'll do, I'll start with that much so far. And of course we need to work out the ship. Now, like I said to you before, I am not going to have the Kraken connected to the ship like it is on the box. I will have the Kraken more centralized, and I want it to look like there's a shipwrecked boat going along the actual part here. So what we need to do now is start adding this clay, and all I'm going to do is start flattening the clay down. Once the clay has dried to the board, of course, remember it does come back up, and what I do then, I use PVA glue, ordinary craft glue, and then we can actually stick the clay back to the board. And yes, the clay is very moist. You have to keep the clay as moist as possible, and that means whenever you've finished using your clay, you store your clay in an airtight container. Very, very important. Moist Kraken. Okay. Now I've got real sand. Let me show you. This is, of course, real sand from the beach. So if you try to bear with me with what I'm doing, what's going to happen is the whole of the base will be covered in sand once these are all dried. So what we're trying to achieve with these pieces of clay is a formation of sand. We're trying to add layers of sand, and we're trying to not have it so the base is completely flat. So by having these little raised areas, you can have little corals, outcrops in under the water, all sorts of things. Yes. Thank you for the shout. I keep all my clay in one of these, Gareth. It's just one of the catering containers. You know, you can keep rice in it and stuff. So it's just your normal Tupperware tub. But I opened this clay a couple of months ago when I did one of the shows of the clay, and it's still super moist because I've kept it in an air dry container. So really, really important you do that, otherwise it will go hard, and you do not want that with your clay. Yeah, airlock the clay. real squid skin. Okay. Now, doing an ocean floor, everything will be quite smooth. So once this is actually added where you want the parts, we shall then smooth off the certain areas. But what I want is I want a couple of little rock formations just dotted around. So what I find with this clay is if you rip the clay like so, see that there, you get an absolutely beautiful rip effect which actually looks like a beautiful rock. It looks like the layered rock. So you can actually have that like so, just laying down, and it gives you a lovely ripple effect, which could be an underwater coral. So if you do that, it actually looks really nice. And then you can, of course, you can just work the back of the clay, and then you've got that lovely ripped effect of the clay there. I just think it looks fab. See, it's just like so. You've got the ripped clay, so you've got almost a natural looking rock just by ripping that clay. Again, we can just keep that like so, and as you can see, we've got these here. These will be our ripped rocks, so we can have all sorts of little fishies and things around there. And of course the rest we just flatten down. There's another little rip there, so we'll keep that one, and we'll just add that one to there. So we're not overdoing it with the lumpiness, but it's just enough to give a nice effect to the floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding all this water. I'm just using my finger, and this will take away any of my fingerprints, but it will also smooth out these pieces of clay, because like I say, all the smooth areas that I'm doing here, this will all have a layer of sand over the top, and then the whole board will be spray painted and then dry brushed. Spray painting is a lot easier for a board of this size. You can either use your rattle can primers, that all works perfectly. So what we're trying to do is just make it flat as possible. You don't get too lumpy floors on the seabed, so we're just trying to take away the edge, and that's just simple as that. I'm just using my finger, get rid of all the fingerprints, just pushing down the clay, make it nice and smooth. Same here. And like I said before, once this is dried, all these parts will come away from the board. So the first thing you need to do is what we're doing today. We're just getting the scale of where everything's going, and we're just working out how we want our board to look. So what we do is we'll leave this board now for 24-48 hours, maybe even a bit longer, depending how thick the clay is, and then we can come back to the board. All these parts will have come away from the board because they've dried. Then we re-stick them to the board with our PVA glue, and once they're stuck back onto the board with our PVA glue and that's dried, we then add that sand that I showed you a little bit earlier in the show. There we are. So this is roughly how the base is going to look. It may not look fabulous at the minute because we've got no sand on there, but I think you can understand where I'm going with this. So what we can do now is we can start working out placements of all the little extras I've got to go on the base of this miniature. Let me just find a rag, a tissue to wipe my hands with. Okay, so what we're looking at now is placement of our parts, and that's a very important part of making a diorama and a miniature as well, because you want it all to look fabulous when you look at it. So the first part will be the bow of the boat. Now this is going to be in this corner here, so I will have it on top of the sand a little bit, and then I'm not going to stick anything down, because what's going to happen is it'll all be stuck down once that clay has dried, and once the clay is dried, then it'll be stuck. Then I'll add that sand. But what I can show you is where all the little parts can be added to this boat, and we can push in the parts that we want as well. Like here, this part can get stuck into these two parts here. and that'll dry in that upright position. We've got another part here. This one can actually be balanced. Actually, this could be kind of broken and just laying in between some of the, just like so there. Then we've got that piece I made earlier, which is that could kind of just be sticking out of the clay like so. And of course we've got our little anchor. The anchor could have been kind of tossed aside as the boat collapsed on the floor, and that could just be sticking out of the sandy part there. And then you could have the chain just kind of drifting around. Just in a little pile where it's kind of come away from the boat, and then it's just kind of fell loose on the sand. So underwater hills. Yes, they will be underwater hills. This is supposed to be an underwater scene when it's finished, because it's of course we've got the swimming. Once this is all finished, we'll have this huge kraken just swimming across the top. So my idea is to have a lovely scenic looking base at the bottom of this miniature, and I just think it'll look fab. The broken up shippiness. See, Rod even talks like me now. He's a true goblin. So what we can also do as well, we've got these flat pieces of broken wood, so we can have a few pieces dotted around. Now I'm just showing you roughly how this is going to play out. Like I said before, all these pieces of clay that I've added, they need to dry out. So what we're going to have is some bits of broken ship here and there, and I'll be adding, all this will be stuck down as it is, but I have to re-stick it once that clay is dried, and then we'll cover the whole base with that sand, and then we can paint the whole base and it will look absolutely beautiful. Awesome stuff. And okay, so what else we got? Now I have lots of little parts from, like I say, I was talking about the old fish tanks earlier, so we can I'm just going to show you some placement parts. These will be removed and then before the sand's added, but I just wanted to show you how we can make this base even more exciting, and how it's going to, get an idea of how it's going to look. So this is just one of these places from the pet shops. You buy these things for your aquariums, and again it's very simple. You can just cut off a little piece like so, and because that clay is wet, we can start adding all these yummy little bits to our miniature. So what I'll do, I'll just cut the bits off I want, and then we'll just start sticking them around. Again, once that clay is dried, then I shall re-stick all the pieces back onto the parts that I've showed you. It's just a fab way, and it's great fun as well. I mean, there's nothing better than making your own little dioramas and stuff. So all I'm doing, I'm just snipping off these little leaves. I've only got one, but that's enough, because you don't want to overdo the floor. You don't want to take your eye away from the Kraken too much. If I made this base super duper with 10,000 million things, you'd be looking more at the base than the actual paint job on the Kraken. The Kraken is supposed to be the centerpiece for the actual miniature, what we're doing. Nothing wrong in having a nice base though. And as everybody knows, what do I say? A miniature is not finished until it's based. So what we can do with these, we can start adding placements. Because the clay is soft, we can make a little hole in the sand, and we can start adding these little parts, and we can just start adding them around certain areas of the miniature. And of course, once that clay is dry, we shall re-stick them back into our diorama. So we're just trying to work out the best places for all the little bits to go, and you know, I want them I want it so they're going around the parts of the boat. So with these plants, we are aging the boat, so we're making it look like that boat's been sunk, you know, quite a while. And when I paint the miniature, you'll see that I've made it a very aged old boat that could have been down there for many years. Okay, so we're just sticking these little bits in. And we're just adding bits here and there. And last couple of bits. And of course, what I've done as well is I've left enough room. We're talking 1-inch gaps all the way around this miniature. And the reason is I want it to be as a gaming board. Which means, let me show you, where is he? Mr. Forescale. We can have Mr. Forescale in his underwater breathing apparatus, and he will be able to go anywhere on this gaming board for your tabletop games. So it will be absolutely fab. You could be doing an underwater adventure, attacking, or the Kraken attacking you, of course. So anywhere on this board, you've got enough room to start going around with your miniature. Absolutely awesome stuff. Okay, last little bit of plant there. I'm going to put you in there. Now, added extras. We got more added extras to go onto the base. Now, Hearst Arts. I don't know if many of you have heard of Hearst Arts. It's a company in the USA that makes molds. I use them a lot because I can just use plaster of Paris and I can make things like this, little broken jars and jugs and pots. So what we got here, we have, of course, a treasure chest. You know, what sunken boat would be, you know, any good without a treasure chest? So we got one treasure chest that can just be hidden, kind of just there, a little hidden treasure chest. We got some little barrels. We got some little what is that called? We have a box. We have a box. Okay, so we got some little barrels. So we could have the odd barrel. What I can do, I can squish that barrel into the sand. Look, so the barrel is just like gone into the sand, and you know, it's like half showing. Absolutely looks gorgeous, like so. We've got a little barrel there. We've got crate. That's the word. It's called a crate, isn't it? Oh, there's a scorpion crate. It's a crate. So we got a little box. We can have that just lying around. That can be stuck over there. And this is a better sized box. This is a nice little box. Look, that's a nice little box. Now these are all made of plaster of Paris in molds. And we can just have that one stuck over there somewhere. And we've also got a couple of barrels that are broken as well. So the good thing about doing shipwrecks or anything like this is you can use all your failed prints, your failed plaster of Paris. You know, this one, of course, the bottom broke when I tried to set the plaster of Paris. So for using it on miniatures like this, it's fantastic because you can just, you know, stick it in and it looks actually authentic because it's broken. Now I think a couple of little bits of wood. We'll use a bit more planks here, so we can have the odd plank just sticking out of the sand, and we're going to snap this one in half here. We can have a little plank sticking out of here and a little plank sticking out of here. Now we don't want the debris too far, but what I want to do is add one more little piece of chain to this miniature, and I think we're good for the base. Oh, plus we got these little pots. Got these little pots, look. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. So we could have maybe a little pot just laying down there. So there's all sorts of treasures came out of this boat when it came down. We've got treasure chests, pots, crates of bananas, all sorts of stuff. Okay, and I reckon what we can do is just on that bank over there, we can have one more little chain, and that'll be just lying around like so. Now, as you can see, it's a busy little base, but once it's all painted up and it's all the same colour, and then we've painted all the ship the same colours, and we've added that crustaceans and all the correct colours and the aging effects of all the different parts, this will look an absolutely fab little base. Okay, so what's next? Let's have a look at time. Oh, it's time for me to say goodnight. And yes, I can add little rock lobsters, little starfish. But just on a final note, my base will have the Kraken over the top. What I shall do, would you like me to do a part 2 of this so I can carry on with this miniature? Would you like to see part 2? Let me know in the comments. I'll be quite happy to do a part 2 of this, but yes, okay. Okay. What I'll do, yes please. What I'll do when this is dry, so it'll probably be next Monday. Next Monday what we'll do, we'll add the sand to the base. I will get the Kraken, I'll get the Kraken all glued together, and I'll give it its initial primer coat, and we can probably get most of this done to an acceptable standard